I'm going to touch on why I never will step foot in a warehouse a day in my life. I don't know if it's just me being soft, I'm being a pussy, I'm being a little bitch. I don't know, it could be. You can tell me in the comments. But in the last video, I just touched on some things on why I left my warehouse job in a week. You could check that out. But in this, I forgot to touch on a couple things that made me dip up out of there. So I want to address it right now. But you could tell me if I'm being soft. I don't know. Or is this how a warehouse job is supposed to be? Is a warehouse job supposed to be miserable? Is it supposed to be somewhere you're like, fuck my existence on this planet? Is that maybe that's how you're supposed to feel, and maybe that's a feeling you're supposed to push through? But I didn't give it enough time because I was only there for a week. So I didn't push through that barrier of like, fuck my life, fuck everything. I don't know, but you tell me. But the first reason, the biggest thing for me, is not even the work. Even though the work is obviously boring, you're doing the same repetitive thing over and over depending on what your specific field was. Like for me, I was a brake pack, so just putting items in a box, scanning items that were behind me and just putting them in a box, and then send it down to the conveyor belt for the next station. So I was just doing that monotonous work. That's not even like the bad part, because it was kind of relaxing in a way. I guess doing the repetitive work, but more so a lot of the people who work in that setting, or the people I was around at least, didn't give a fuck about the work at all. They didn't give a fuck about what they were doing. I touched on the last video, like in my orientation, right? Orientation, where the first day you go in to figure out what you're going to do on the job, to figure out the safety hazards, being in a warehouse, and safety hazards, all that good stuff. This one kid, right, comes in high as hell, smelling like a whole bunch of weed, is falling asleep during orientation. The orientation instructor getting pissed off. Kid keeps falling asleep. That was red flag number one, that this is the type of setting I'm about to be in. And this kid, right, was he was one of the forklift drivers. So the instructor was like, aren't you supposed to be driving the forklift? And he's like, yeah. And then the instructor was like, so you should be paying attention. If anyone should be paying attention, it should be that one kid that's falling asleep. So I'm like, all right, bet. That's the environment we're in. All right, that's cool, whatever. That's just one kid. Maybe it's not everyone. But I'm like walking through. We're doing the job. Like people just throwing shit, throwing the boxes, throwing the items, throwing the shit into the boxes, not giving a fuck. Like we walk past the shipping. Yeah, shipping. A majority of people just chucking the boxes in the fucking storage unit, or in the truck, in the trailer, not giving a fuck, not giving two shits. So I'm taking mental notes. Like, no one gives a fuck, no one gives a shit. People, before they even clock into their shift, I was walking into the building, people are siphoning a blunt outside. Like right before you walk in, I'm like, you can't do that like in your whip. You can't do that somewhere else. They literally have no like awareness of what. In my mind, I'm like, if you're gonna be high, like I don't give a fuck if you're smoking. Like be functional, right? And don't just do it right in front of the place of work. Don't smoke a blunt right before you walk in. Like it was literally an entranceway, right? Like everyone walks through that one entranceway outside, like it's outside. Smoking a blunt, smoking a J. I'm like, bro, you could do that at the crib and then drive over here and make sure your clothes not smelling like it. Like people don't give a fuck. I feel like it could sound fucked up, what I'm about to say, but I felt like I was just working with mad degenerates, mad people who didn't give a fuck about nothing. I felt like I was working with like people who just didn't care about what their job. Like, I know you don't got to put your blood, sweat, and tears into a job, because obviously it's just a warehouse job. It's not, I don't think it's a career. Me personally, I'd go crazy, but I don't think, I can't be in a warehouse. It's not for me, as I'm mentioning. But a lot of people don't give a fuck. That's number two. People don't give a fuck about what's going on, and you would think since being in a warehouse and you're dealing with heavy objects, there's a bunch of machinery, there's a bunch of shit that could fucking fuck you up. You would think people would care more than your typical job that's not in a warehouse. You know what I'm saying? So that's point number two. Let's see. I got a list here, bro. I'm be making lists of this shit. What's next on my fucking agenda? And oh yeah, this is, you know, this one. It's just physically like draining. It's physically demanding on your body. It's physically just wear and tear. So like I don't mind the physical aspect of it, but I just can't do that shit every day. I just can't do the same monotonous work every single day. Because for me at least, I went to this college, I went to this university, I went to this big school, prestigious school, studied finance, and I'm like, fuck, I'm working in a warehouse, I'm working with people that may or may not have quit or have their high school diploma. And like, I'm not trying to be judgmental, I'm just being like spitting facts just based on the few conversations I did have. Majority of people probably didn't go to college, or the people I was working with. And I'm like, I went to this school, did my 4 years, and I'm working in a warehouse getting paid a little bit more than minimum wage. It was $21 an hour. So I don't think the compensation compensates the work you're doing. I feel like the work you're doing is 10 times. You should be getting paid way more. Like warehouse workers should be getting paid way more than they're getting paid, because you're doing shit nobody wants to do. You're doing a job that nobody gives a fuck about. You're doing it. Like, I respect you for that. I respect you for taking on this job, because a majority of people don't want to do it. So they should get paid a little bit more. It should be a little bit incentivized. At minimum, I think it should be $30 an hour, but that's just me. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules, but I'm going to end it with this. I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet, because I don't want to bash it. There are some pros, right? All right, let me do one more negative before I go to the pros, the few pros that I do have. So, the only reason I believe you should work a warehouse job, and this is just my experience, remember, like, you can leave a comment below how it is for you. This is my experience working in Staples. But the only reason I believe you should work in a warehouse job is if it's like a stepping stone to something else that you want to do. So maybe you want to be in some sort of management within a warehouse, or maybe you're someone who fixes machinery, or someone who has a certain certification and doing something, but doing the basic job of whether it be break pack, shipping, receiving, the basic shit. Like, obviously I know you need to do the basic shit to get to the higher levels, but if you're satisfied with just doing the basic level, like the entry level shit, I don't know. I'll just thank you for doing that, because someone has to do it. It's not for me. But I only believe you should work in a warehouse if you really need the bread. If it's maybe you quit your job like me. I left my nearly $100K job, right? Finance job. And I'm looking for remote work in finance again. So I need a buffer to like pay some bills, pay some expenses, pay some loans. So that's the main reason I took it in the first place. So if you're in a similar situation where you're like in a transition period from one place to another, I said that'd be good. That's a good fit. I didn't need the bread that bad though. Like, if you need the bread that bad, if you need the money that bad, go ahead, go do the thing. In my case, I didn't need the money that bad. I realized working there, I didn't need the money that bad. Working there for the week I was there, from the Monday through Friday that I was there, I realized I could spend a little bit less elsewhere. I could not go out, take my girl out to dinner as much. I could not do this, that, and that a little bit. I'll do a little bit less of that, because I'd rather spend a little bit less on the extracurricular things than work in that warehouse, because that shit was miserable. So if you're in that buffer period, you need some bread, quick cash, or not even quick cash, but just quick money, I would say do that. The one pro I would say, or the few pros I would say about working in this warehouse is if you like to be alone, you like to be in a setting where you don't really want to interact with people, you just want to do your work, go home. This is a perfect place for you. It's the absolute perfect place because you can just lock into your job. You don't really need to say anything to anyone because I'm assuming you'll probably have a team meeting in the beginning where you don't really have to say anything. You just have to join the meeting or just be there. And then they put you in your station, do what you got to do for your 8 hours or however long you're there. Maybe you have an issue, so that's the one time you need to talk to someone. But other than that, you don't really need to talk to anyone. So if you want to be, like, if you're one of those people that can be in isolation for X amount of time, good for you. I'm just not one of those people. Like, I thought I was one of those people that needed to be, like, alone for a long period of time. But nah, like, I do meditate, I do those type of things. But, like, doing that warehouse shit with... Like, that's just a different beast. That's a different animal. No windows, bro. I can't even tell if it's light or dark outside. I'm like, damn. I don't even know what time it is right now. Can't look at my phone. I mean, if you gotta watch. So, let me know. Let me know what you think. That's my little rundown of warehouse experience. You can check out the last one. I go into more detail, but those were what I mentioned in this one, just some couple things I wanted to get off my chest. I forgot to mention in the last one. But I'm in this going forward with YouTube, with this channel, right? I know I talk about some spiritual stuff. I talk about, like, the mental. I talk about all those type of things. But I'm going to start focusing more on, like, my job experiences. Right? I've had a million types of jobs. The warehouse being the bottom of the bottom of any job I ever had. But I kind of want to go over my experiences so it can give you some insight. And I also want to go express ways I'm handling, like paying for these loans, paying for these bills, paying for my expenses on such little money. Because I'm not making the 100K I was making before. So people might want to know, like, why would you leave a 100K job? Why would you want to do this? Why would you leave a 100K job to work in a warehouse? So I'm going to touch on my little, like, work experience journey. If that's something you want to do or something you want to listen to, get more insight on, then you could sub. You could sub, maybe you want to, maybe you don't. But I'm just saying what I'm going to talk about. I think it's pretty cool to get some insight. I like going on YouTube and getting insight on, like, how a specific job is going to be before I tackle it. I like getting other people's POV on certain situations. So if that's your type of thing, I recommend you sub. If not, it's cool. It may not be your thing. But we're going to talk more about job-related things. We'll talk more about finances. And then we'll sprinkle in, like, the spiritual, mental aspect of things as well. But I'll do it in a unique way. So stay tuned and peace out.